Presented to the Faculty of College of Teacher Education, Mindoro State University, Calapan City Campus. Educational Research 1, Bachelor of Secondary Education, Major in English by Alberto R. De Luna, Relin M. Abutan, and Jayan B. Sumawang from 3A2. Our research is entitled Modular Approach and English Grammatical Competence of Grade 12 Senior High School Student of San Teodoro National High School. Chapter 1, The Problems and Its Setting.
The COVID-19 pandemic has caused huge disturbance in all aspects of living. It does not only affect jobs and transactions, but also the sector of education. With the school cessation and defiance of conveyance in distance learning, decrease in student learning was anticipated to be boundless. Most countries around the world have temporarily closed educational institutions to contain the spread of COVID-19 pandemic and reduce infections. This closure has affected more than 1.2 billion learners worldwide, with more than 28 million learners in the Philippines based from the study of UNESCO year 2020. COVID-19 pandemic has forced schools in the Philippines to stop face-to-face learning activities and abruptly shift to modular approach. In practical sense, the modular approach situates Filipino students to learn in the comfort of their homes based from the study of Marhumsar year 2021. In the Philippines, most of the secondary schools uses modular approach in engaging the students in learning process. It is a materialized mode educational thinking that turns traditional way of instruction to an outcome-based learning program. In this approach, the teachers print materials and guardians take the modules from the school and supervise their children. The goal of this approach in learning is to continue education despite the absence of students in the school premises. Filipinos are considered to be among the more fluent speakers of language. According to Shoko and Vera year 2018, English has long been part of the curricula of varied academic programs in the Philippines. It aims to equip learners with English grammatical competence, as this will serve as an edge of their future professions. Grammatical competence is under proficiency skills, and there are 4 domains to language proficiency. We have the reading, writing, speaking, and listening. These domains to language proficiency will help students to attain the fluency in English and will have paved way to the development of their English grammatical competence. Having excellent grammatical competence is a substantial need of senior high school students for them to have satisfactory communication skills according to LISA year 2020. Modular approach promotes self-directed learning. The concepts that are included in modules captivate the students' learning. In addition, the tasks or assessments develop the student's sense of responsibility and progress in learning. It is discovered to be better teaching method than the traditional one because it helps students boost their learning capacity while also making it easier for them to read self-learning materials in addition to books, according to Sariati year 2021. They reflect on their own experiences. Modular approach directs students to be in charge of their own learning according to Bethlehem year 2021. The researchers would like to conduct this study to determine the relationship between modular approach and English grammatical competence of grade 12 senior high school students of San Teodoro National High School. More specifically, it will investigate extent of utilization of modular approach in terms of lesson or discussion proper and assessment or activities included in the learning modules and the level of English grammatical competence in terms of subject-verb agreement, spelling, and reading comprehension. Moreover, the researcher will make use of sets of questionnaires and constructive tests. The approved copy of the questionnaires will then administered through house-to-house distribution to 133 grade 12 senior high school students, which will be selected randomly from 6 sections from San Teodoro National High School. In gathering additional data needed for the study, researchers will carry out some research on reliable articles published within the year 2018 to 2022. This study will be conducted during school year 2021 to year 2022. Hence, the results of this study will serve as a foundation in designing a proposed learning module that will address the identified gaps on the test and analysis made would elevate the level of English grammatical competence of the grade 12 senior high school students.
This study aims to determine the relationship between modular approach and English grammatical competence of grade 12 senior high school students of San Teodoro National High School. Specifically, it will answer the following research questions. First, what is the extent of utilization of modular approach of the grade 12 senior high school students at San Teodoro National High School in terms of lesson or discussion proper and assessment or activities? Second, what is the level of English grammatical competence of grade 12 senior high school students in terms of subject-verb agreement, spelling, and reading comprehension? Third, is there any significant relationship between modular approach and the English grammatical competence of grade 12 senior high school students of San Teodoro National High School? And last, what enhanced learning module may be drawn from the findings of the study? This research hypothesized that there is no significant relationship between utilization of modular approach and level of English grammatical competence of grade 12 senior high school students of San Teodoro National High School.
For the theoretical framework, this study is anchored on various theories, including the theory of cognitive development, constructivist theory, and the concept of transactional distance. The theory of cognitive development comments that an individual cannot easily understand information without an actual construction of his or her own knowledge about it. They construct their knowledge through different experiences. Experiences allow them to create schemas or the mental paradigm in their heads. These schemas become different and made more sophisticated through different complementary ways, which are assimilation and accommodation. The constructivist theory, on the other hand, is based around the idea that learners are active participants in their learning journey. Knowledge is constructed based on experiences. As events occur, each person reflects on their experience and incorporates the new ideas with their prior knowledge. Learners develop schemas to organize acquired knowledge. Education offers a continuum of transaction from less distant, where there is greater interaction and less structure to more distant, where there may be less interaction and more structure. This continuum blurs the distinctions between conventional and distant programs because of the variety of transactions that occur between teachers and learners in both settings. Thus, distance is not determined by geography, but by the relationship between dialogue and structure.
Shows the variables of the proposed study. The study has 3 variables. The first box contains the independent variable, which is the extent of utilization of modular approach of grade 12 students at San Teodoro National High School in terms of discussion or lesson proper and assessment or activities. The second box holds the dependent variable involving the level of English grammatical competence of grade 12 senior high school students of San Teodoro National High School in terms of subject-verb agreement, spelling, and reading comprehension. And the third box contains the research output, which is the proposed learning module that will be drawn from the results of the study.
Chapter 2. Review of related literature and studies.
Modular approach in teaching and learning is an essential tool in facilitating the lesson proper in the class, specifically in today's situation. It requires efforts for teachers and students as well as the educational institution to be engaged in learning process. The study shows that modular syllabuses are useful and motivating, and it encourages the students to do better in the succeeding modules. Ivyatova 2018. The findings of ABAS KDA 2021 shows that using modular approach leads students to perceive the level of difficulty in reading comprehension. They advise that schools should undertake trainings and seminars that is timely to help students. Filipinos are very well known when it comes to using English language as their medium in communication. In the context of education, English proficiency skills are categorized into reading, speaking, listening, and writing. Amidst pandemic, students strive for the sake of education and their future. The level of their grammatical competence in English will be measured if they undergo several testings that is anchored to the learning targets. The executions of lesson have huge parts on how the student will be more equipped in all skills. It is recommended that modular distance learning needs effective planning and upgrading for the mentors to address critical issues such as criteria and necessary evaluation. In the middle of pandemic, it is important to utilize the grammatical competence of students in English using modular approach. This will enable them to have good self-esteem and proper knowledge they needed for their desired works and in their community. This catastrophe will not lead learning to risk but a challenge to explore and to do more.
Chapter 3: Research Methodology.
This study made use of descriptive coordinational design since it tried to find out the problems about the present situation. In this design, the researchers will be able to determine the significant relationship between the modular approach and English grammatical competence of grade 12 senior high school students of San Teodoro National High School. The researcher will make a set of questionnaires and constructive tests as the main instrument in the study. The researcher chose San Teodoro National High School as an institution where the study will be conducted. It is located at Sitio Suha, Barangay Bigaan, San Teodoro Oriental, Mindoro. It is 26 km away from the city of Calapan. This institution is one of the 4 secondary schools in San Teodoro that offers quality education. It is the most accessible institution for the researchers since all of them are residing at the same municipality. The respondents of the study are 133 grade 12 students, which will randomly be selected from 6 sections from San Teodoro National High School. It will be conducted in the year 2021-2022. The researchers made use of a set of self-designed questionnaire and constructive tests as the main instruments in gathering data, which compose of 2 parts. The researchers will use a random sampling technique in the study. 133 grade 12 students from 6 sections from San Teodoro National High School will be randomly selected to be the respondents of the study. Part 1 is the questionnaire that was apportioned on the items that will recognize the extent of utilization of modular approach of the students in terms of lesson, discussion proper, and assessment activities. On the other hand, Part 2 is composed of constructive tests that are allocated on the items that measure the level of English grammatical competence in terms of subject-verb agreement, spelling, and reading comprehension of the respondents. The researchers will use a rating scale on the first part of the questionnaire to determine the extent of utilizing modular approach in learning. The researchers will use this table of numerical scale and verbal description of the extent of utilization of modular approach of the respondents. A scoring scale will be used on scaling and quantifying the second part of the questionnaire with a grading equivalent and description to determine the level of English grammatical competence of the respondent. To describe this, the researcher will use this table of scoring scale and verbal description of the level of English grammatical competence of the respondents. To measure the validity of the instrument upon the construction of the questionnaires, there will be 3 experts to check its validity. The researchers will use test-retest to measure the reliability of the research instruments used in this study. They will request permission from the principal of San Teodoro National High School to be able to distribute the questionnaires to the intended respondents. Data gathered by the researchers will be tallied, tabulated, and will be statistically treated. The data collected by the researcher will be compiled, tabularized, quantified, and evaluated. The data gathered will be treated statistically using the following statistical tools: mean, percentage, and candle rank correlation. Weighted mean will be applied to determine the extent of utilizing modular approach that affects the level of English grammatical competence of respondents in terms of subject-verb agreement, spelling, and reading comprehension. Percentage. This statistical tool will be applied to determine the level of English grammatical competence of the respondents in terms of subject-verb agreement, spelling, and reading comprehension. The researchers will also use candle rank correlation, a non-parametric test to measure the strength of dependence between modular approach and English grammatical competence of grade 12 senior high school students.
Thank you very much and God bless us all.